Let's keep this damn thing going with these reactions, shall we? So, shout outs to Patrick CC. We have not reacted to Patrick's vids in a while, but this one is a little interesting. Two rappers confess to the same crime, but only one is guilty. Let's get into this damn video, y'all. Let's do it.
Two extremely famous rappers admit to committing the same horrible crime at the height of their popularity. Rick Ross's admission was in 2013, and Cardi B 6 years later in 2019. Rick Ross received an incredible amount of backlash. Tens of thousands of petitions signed and hundreds of people standing outside of the Reebok headquarters demanding them to terminate their endorsement deal with the rapper. Cardi B, on the other hand, received tons of support from her fans and the media, breaking down all of the nuances of her crime and why it was okay. Today we are going to take a look at both of these situations and examine exactly why Cardi B was perceived as a victim and Rick Ross was perceived as guilty in the court of public opinion, starting with Rick Ross. In March of 2013, a rapper by the name of Rocco released a remix of his song UOENO alongside Future and Rick Ross. UOENO is not an acronym but rather a slurred slang term representing the phrase, "you don't even know it." At the 2-minute and 10-second mark in the song, Rick Ross says, "Put Molly all in her champagne.
She don't even know it.
I
I took her home and I enjoyed that. She don't even know it." Honest to God, just based off of that lyric within itself, them niggas it is in the studio should have been just like, "You sure you want to keep that in there?" Because ever since it is like you know, that shit is like plain in sight to say something like that, let's call it to what it is. That's date R. That's date R word. And that's not good. So that even if it is that if that was never the case, if that was something and it's like, oh, you know, these are just lyrics, it's the fact that even just implied of that is bad, which is why I'm saying somebody at the studio should have been like, gang, this I don't think this is it. Like this is a very wild thing to say within lyrics, you know? You could have changed some words around, but and not have this out in the open. This song was even played on radio. It was played on radio, y'all. This is why I'm like, this really shouldn't have been there.
took her home and I enjoyed that. She ain't even know it. Listeners were shocked to hear Rick Ross directly confess to drugging a woman and then insinuating that they had sex after. It's hard to interpret this bar as anything other than a confession. At first, this was just a crazy lyric that made you and your buddies look at each other in disbelief, but the song was getting more and more popular, making the rounds on social media and in the clubs. As more people were exposed to the specificity and boastfulness of Rick Ross's delivery, they felt like they had to speak out. First, a petition calling for Rick Ross to, quote, publicly apologize for glorifying drugging / R-wording a woman was posted to change.org. The organizer wrote, this should be investigated further and he should be prosecuted. With only 1,294 signatures, it didn't have a large enough impact. Then, Rosa Clemente, who was the 2008 vice presidential candidate of the Green Party, posted a YouTube video criticizing the rapper.
This is disgusting, to say the least. This lyric is obviously promoting not just date rape, but rape and culture and violence against women. We live in a society that by the time African American women and Latina women are 18, almost half of them, 44%, have been sexually abused.
From there, more media personalities,
that still stands as of today, which is, again, that's a big problem. Now, understand this, being a woman within this society is very dangerous, especially being a woman. It's kind of like, you know, going out in places by herself or live by herself, where we have to always keep thinking about what to do for the what ifs. You know what I mean? So as somebody it is that legitimately, like, when I tell you it is like, I had a friend it is that also had that same thing. We out clubbing, out to the bars and everything like that. And then niggas think that shit is funny to go ahead and just put stuff within drinks. This is why, like, you gotta put covers on your drinks now. Like, I'm so big on the fact of, like, if I go out with my girls, we're all together. Like, if we came in together, we leave together. Like, I'm very big on those type of things. It's the stuff like that. So yeah, like, this is why I said, even if this was something that he didn't actually do himself, glorifying it is just it's not good. It's not good.
Use their platform to encourage people to speak out against Ross.
Sex without consent
is what you should know.
Sex without consent is rape. That's what we know.
Rick Ross, it's a shame that you don't know.
The controversy spread like wildfire. Every major news outlet started to chime in. When Ross responded to the controversy, he did more harm than good. On the New Orleans radio station Q93.3 FM, he said, "I want to make sure this is clear. That woman is the most precious gift known to man. You understand? There was a misunderstanding with a lyric, a misinterpretation. The term rape wasn't used. I would never use the term rape in my records. As far as my camp, hip-hop don't condone that. The streets don't condone that. Nobody condones that. So I just wanted to reach out to all the queens that's on my timeline, all the sexy ladies, the beautiful ladies that had been reaching out to me with the misunderstanding. We don't condone rape and I'm not with that." Ross claiming,
How was that a misunderstanding? Well, you literally said, "I put Molly on her champagne. She don't even know it. I took her home and I enjoyed that. She don't even know it." That is implied R word. That is overt R wording within lyrics. That is as clear as day. I'm just confused on where the misunderstanding came from. There's no misunderstanding with it. That is blatant. Right in the face.
claiming that this lyric was all a misunderstanding and then shouting out the sexy ladies just fueled even more outrage.
Yeah, of course,
Hip-hop
yeah.
outlets began speaking out against him.
Guys, Rick Ross has come to a crossroads. He is a great artist, good dude. He put me on his mixtape. I love the guy. But he's got to step up right now and do the right thing. And that right thing is a thorough and sincere apology about the lines. Right thing is a thorough and sincere apology about the lines that made people think he was endorsing date.
Ross's peers, such as Talib Kweli, began speaking out against him.
I don't care if Rick Ross is 40 years old. He's a misguided 40-year-old person. When we embraced him, we have to embrace him with love. Everything everyone's saying about that line is correct. Rick Ross condoned in that song, and he shouldn't, and he should apologize. And his apology that he offered was unacceptable.
So he apologized again. On April 4th, 2013, he tweeted, "I don't condone rape. Apologies for the hashtag lyric interpreted as rape. Hashtag boss." This was his second attempt at an apology, but still
You just digging a deeper hole for yourself, gang.
sticking to his belief that you, the listener, misconstrued his words, and he didn't say anything wrong. Whereas many argue
That is gaslighting at 101 right there. How the fuck it is like that level you're not even trying to take a level of accountability. It's just like, no, you as a listener, you interpreted my words wrong. Nigga, that is wild to say. That is when the words were so blatant. Jesus Christ. Damn. Looking back at this in 2013, though, like, was he really just damn.
that there is no other way to look at this lyric, like Adam Howard from The Griot, who said, "There's no way to argue that he's not describing rape." Most other hip-hop songs describing sexual contact, while still often misogynistic, at least leave room for a listener to believe that women are consenting parties. But in this case, listening to a man gleefully rhyme about drugging someone and having sex with her while she's unconscious feels like an alarmingly pointed threat. Critics were tired of Rick Ross's inability to accept responsibility, especially the National Organization for Women in New York City, who rallied in hundreds outside of the Reebok headquarters in New York, asking them to disband their partnership with Rick Ross.
It is a hate crime to be out there making fun of, making light of drugging and raping women, something that happens all too often in our culture.
These are actually 72,000 petitions signed by our members all over the country, and there are also comments from people about why they feel like Reebok needs to drop Rick Ross.
Rick Ross is a disgrace to humanity. This guy's a joke. How do you say, I slipped her Molly, went home and enjoyed that, and she didn't even know, and then say you didn't mean to condone rape? He knew exactly what he's saying. The fact of the matter is he's just a coward, and now he's trying to avoid dealing with it.
Just a few days after the protest, Rick Ross was officially dropped from his multi-million-dollar endorsement deal. The company made a statement. "While we do not believe that Rick Ross condones sexual assault, we are very disappointed he has yet to display an understanding of the seriousness of the issue or an appropriate level of remorse." They continued, "At this time, it is in everyone's best interest for Reebok to end its partnership with Mr. Ross." I guess Ross was hoping the outrage would eventually die out, because it was after Reebok dropped him that he finally made a formal apology. My choice of words was not only offensive, it does not reflect my true heart, and for this, I apologize. To every woman that has felt the sting of abuse, I apologize. I recognize that as an artist I have a voice, and with that, the power of influence. To the young men who listen to my music, please know that using a substance to rob a woman of her right to make a choice is not only a crime, it's wrong, and I do not encourage it. Have you ever Googled your name and seen yourself on one of those strange...
This should have been something it is that he said from the jump, bro. You cannot do stuff like that. You had to say that. You have to go ahead and be like, yo, this is why I said somebody should have pulled that man's coat to be like, yo, this lyric is bad. So the moment it is that was even talked about is when you should have sat there and said, look, everything it is that you just said should have been your first response. That should have been the first one. It took an outcry and you losing your endorsements and losing the bag when it is you finally start to go ahead and say something. Not too many people's gonna be keen on that apology.
Now, rappers have been spitting extremely controversial lyrics for decades. In a 2001 song called Fight Music by D12, rapper Bazaar said, "I hate you, I'll take your drawers down and ape you," while Dr. Dre videotapes you, which is extremely blatant and descriptive.
Dr. Dre was also in some stuff when it comes down to like with SA, R word, domestic violence, all that stuff. He's been involved with that before, and he has a track record of that. A long track record of that shit. He's another one where it is like, you know, but this I don't even know how this got cleared. To say that, and that's even worse than the first statement when it is that we heard from Rick Ross. But I'm not surprised by this, knowing Dr. Dre's background when it comes down to women, and the violence it is, you know, that he's also been in. So for him to green light this and not think it is that this isn't a wild ass fucking statement to say in a song, it's something it is it's something it is that I see from Dr. Dre, unfortunately.
Eminem has a laundry list of descriptive admissions of crimes. I mean, at this point, what rapper hasn't glorified or admitted to some heinous crime? Many people argue that none of these lyrics can be taken seriously because they are made up to represent a character or persona that doesn't represent the reality of the rapper.
Even if it's not the reality of the rapper, it's still serious issues. Serious issues to where it is that women still go through to this day. So it's kind of coming off a little tone deaf. You get what I'm saying? Like some rap, like, and plus, like I always say this like all the time, but rappers, streamers, anybody that do consecration or anybody that's like a public figure, your words hold a lot of weight. So if you sitting there, you just openly saying that shit like that, then that's a problem. It's like the same thing that we seen with that Riot LOL kick streamer that was doing all that goofy shit on Omegle and streaming the shit. There's a lot of niggas it is who think that that's okay to do, and that's a problem. That is a major problem.
Raps about drug selling, drug trafficking, being a boss, violence. That's what his brand is about. That's what he raps about.
Rick Ross is quite literally a stolen name from a real 1980s drug kingpin, Ricky Donald Ross, aka Freeway Rick. The rapper Rick Ross's entire persona is fake, but based on a real criminal. Many people use the argument that if music lyrics should be taken seriously, then why is there no outrage when rappers rap about robbing, shooting, and murdering people? But there is a very specific reason why this particular line from Rick Ross garnered so much backlash, and that's due to a shifting cultural perception on these types of crimes after 2 Ohio teens raped a girl and basically got off with a slap on the wrist. On March 17th, 2013, just 1 week before Ross's lyric blew up, 2 teens in Steubenville, Ohio were found guilty of rape. But the way these teens had absolutely zero empathy or regard for the victim was a shocking wake-up call for the realities of these horrible crimes. The 2 teens were promising football players who were beloved by the small Ohio town. At a party, a 16-year-old girl drank more than she could handle, leading to her blacking out multiple times, only waking up to vomit. The defendants eventually brought her into the back of a Volkswagen, where Trent May, quote, proceeded to flash the girl's breasts and penetrate her with his fingers, while another football player videotaped videotaped it on his phone. Malik Richmond, the other defendant, took his turn violating the girl with his fingers. Although there was no penile penetration, any sexual conduct where the person is unable to give consent in the state of Ohio does constitute as rape. Then, compromising and explicit photos of the girl were shared on the internet, and some of the witnesses mocked her even more on Twitter. The police were notified.
You know, I see. We had a conversation talking about with, like, you know, parents, and when it comes down to their kids and stuff like that. This stuff like this is to where it is. I will put my hands on somebody's kid for some shit like this, bro. This is the shit I'm talking about. This is exactly the shit it is that I'm talking about. Even for me, just hearing this is already triggering enough as it is. So, like, and it doesn't even have to be like a future kid. It could be my friends. It could be my sister. It could be, you know what I'm saying? It could be somebody it is that I know, even if it's somebody it is that I don't know. I've seen stuff like this before where, like, if you go into, you out and about, like, at a club and stuff, like, I have seen stuff like this. And this is why this bothers me a lot. Let's say it is that a girl bathroom blacked out, you know, by, like, the toilet and stuff like that. I'm not gonna sit there and leave that girl. I'm sorry, but I can't do that. I cannot do that. That just to see that, and if I don't see it is that she's with any friends or anything like that, I'm going to see if it is that she's all right, and I'm also gonna go ahead and make sure it is like, if there's anybody like an owner, bouncer, or something that is that's just like, hey, listen, can we able to get her taken care of, please? Because it's stuff like this where being unconscious, being in a vulnerable state, where niggas think it is that shit is funny to do. This is what makes me angry. Put hands on, nah, brother, you getting clipped. It's stuff like that. Like, you know, I don't even advocate for that type of violence, but it's like, I understand it with stuff like this. Like, yo, that shit is nuts. So just, and you have no remorse. You in the courtroom sitting there just smiling as if like you about to, like, that shit just pissed me off.
About the crime a couple days later. They were given a flash drive of evidence, including the post shared on social media, but the police said the case was challenging, partly because too much time had passed since the suspected rape. All of the local press about the situation appeared to be biased towards the boys, discussing their football dreams and how important football is to the community.
Lots of kids in town grow up hoping, wishing one day they could play for Big Red Football. Were you one of those kids?
Yes, I was.
And then there's Trent. His father, Brian, a football coach, says there's football in his son's DNA.
One of his dreams since he was a kid was to play quarterback for students.
Some of these shows, they need to go to hell as well, because there's no way it is y'all doing interviews and stuff like that with these niggas talking about something. Oh yeah, there's a football dream to go to college and stuff like that. What about the woman that is that just been assaulted? That's just been essayed at a party. Where is the sympathy? Where is the sympathy for that? Where's her interview at? Where is the level of, okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's turn this into like making sure it is like, you know, what the story it is that she go through, make sure that she get the help it is that she needs. Not even just on the level of her body, but also with her psyche as well. Well, therapy or something like that. Like, did y'all do anything for the girl, the victim itself, her family? Y'all sitting there interviewing the boys it is that fucking did the shit. How the fuck? Listen, I don't give a fuck about this father or not. Like, I don't give a fuck about the nigga's family or what, the football dreams or whatever the case may have you. You knew exactly what it is that you did because you was conscious enough to do it. That girl was not. Boy, this shit's pissing me off.
As one of Steubenville's football coaches told the New York Times, quote, "The rape was just an excuse, I think. What else are you going to tell your parents when you come home drunk like that after a night like that?"
Excuse me? I want to put my hands on the damn coach too. Like, what the fuck is we talking about?
Had to make up something. Now people are trying to blow up our football program because of it. Just like the Rick Ross outrage slowly.
And this is the reason to why. This is a very serious conversation, and this is very triggering. So viewer discretion may be advised. I should have said that from the beginning. This is the reason to why it is women won't come forth when stuff like this happens, there is a lot of women it is who have dealt with our word essay. I mean, even as far as like with family members, friends, you know, going to a party and stuff like that. It happens a lot more than what people think, because having to be open about with this, now it's like you have all these people in your business. Your parents isn't finding out. Like your parents may be devastated, even though it's not your fault. I had somebody actually comment on this on the How to Catch a Kick Predator video, and this one person was like, "I'm so glad it is you didn't blame the woman or the women in this," and I never will, bro. Yes, there are women it is that lie about this, and I do wholeheartedly with my chest feel like it is. If you lie about something that serious, it is you should also get reprimanded for that. But for the women it is who has unfortunately gone through something like this, this is why most women do not talk about this. They don't even want. They just want to let it go and just deal with it on their own accord. And it's so sad. As somebody it is like myself, I've worked within Planned Parenthood. I have heard stories like this, heartbreaking stories like this. And only imagine it is like the women who've gone through our word get pregnant by stuff like this, and which is even more of a heartbreaking story, where it is you have to be there to give them the options of what it is that they want to do. So I just don't. The ABC, for y'all to sit there and be interviewing them two niggas, like, I got an issue with that. I may not have seen, because I've not heard the story before. Even just off of the strength of that, even if you did interview that girl and her family and had their side to tell the story, I still looking at you a little sideways for the fact that is that you interviewed these two niggas talking about some football dreams and shit like that, as if like they didn't just go ahead and just assault this girl unconscious. I have an issue with that. I have a major issue with that. So we go out and the girls leave their drinks unattended and feeling like something was put in there. I'm the designated drink tester because I took 12, 16 pills one day and they were like candy. So the roofie will only be a good time for me. I've done a few drinks that has something in it, but like I said, it was a good time for me. I used to, sheesh. Yeah, like it's stuff like that. Like I even seen this tweet earlier today that talked about like how to identify signs of if something may be in the drink, where it's like the ice float to the bottom, or things is a little bit foggy, things look a little bit more carbonated than what it should be. You know, they're like, to be honest with you, I was like, I'm so glad it is that's even being talked about. You get what I'm saying? Of like niggas doing shit like that, because there are some men that really sit there, men and women, that sit there and do that and then think that's okay. And I have major issues with that. That's why it is like most people don't want to go out. They don't want to go out to no clubs, no parties, or anything like that, unless it's a bunch of their friends and stuff like that. And there's some girlfriends it is that are shit friends too, that put their own homegirl in situations where in compromising situations, and then do not have any level of accountability for what it is they just fucking did to their own friend, their own kind at that. So I have issues with this, man. I do.
It grew bigger. This story took on a life of its own as larger publications started to write about it. The anonymous hacker group leaked personal information of 50,000 Ohio residents that they believed were helping obstruct the investigation. They also leaked a video that was taking place that night, when a small group of friends, including the defendants, videotaped themselves bragging and laughing about the crime.
She's dead because there was a naked picture on her, a wang in the butt, and she wasn't moving. There's usually a reaction to that.
The boys proceeded to laugh and make fun of the girl on camera for 12 minutes straight.
Mind you, this nigga has a whole Ohio State Buckeyes t-shirt. That's a college. That is a college. Any institution should be looking at that and be like, I don't want no parts to do with that. I don't want nothing to do with that. All just to sit there and you laughing about something like this. Like, nigga, punch you in your fucking mouth, bro. You think that shit is funny? Like, that's not funny.
The boys proceeded to laugh and make fun of the girl on camera for 12 minutes straight.
Trent and Malik someone.
This video went extremely viral, with people all around the world demanding justice for the victim. Many people referred back to the abhorrent mentality of these boys when criticizing Rick Ross's lyrics, whereas others felt like blaming a rapper's lyrics was merely a cop-out, and outraged people should be pointing fingers at parents. Then Anonymous organized the hashtag Occupy Steubenville protest, which got over 1,000 people to protest this case. Finally, because of the outrage, the case went to trial, and the boys were found guilty.
Good. So this motherfucker here sitting there crying and shit like that. What you crying for? What you crying for? You have no business to be crying. None. You ain't had no regard whatsoever that entire duration of what it is you did. Get the fuck out of here with these fake ass crocodile tears.
Trent Mays,
Give it to
who's
somebody it is, who
17,
cares?
was sentenced to serve at least 2 years in the state juvenile system. The other, Malik Richmond, 16, was sentenced to serve at least 1 year. Although it took thousands of outraged people on the internet to escalate this issue for them to receive justice, many believe that the punishment for these teens was not enough, perpetuating the reality that these types of crimes are not taken as seriously as they should be. And then 1 week after this guilty verdict that people are outraged about, Rick Ross has an extremely popular song that people see as glorifying this same horrible crime. It was a recipe for disaster. Yet despite all the backlash, this didn't even have any long-lasting impact on Rick Ross's career, or even the song. UOENO debuted at number 99 on the Billboard Hot 100 3 weeks after Ross was dropped by Reebok. And by July 20th, it peaked at number 20 on the Hot 100. They even released a visual to the song a few months later that depicts a woman drinking a spiked drink and begins spiraling before Rick Ross takes her home. And even though Reebok dropped him, he has still managed to secure tons of multi-million-dollar business deals that he reaps the benefits of still to this day. Have you seen this guy's house? He is doing just fine. At the end of the day, Rick Ross does have deniability that what he said was fiction, as it was just a part of a song. Cardi B, on the other hand, does not have that deniability, because she admitted to drugging multiple people on an Instagram live. However, the reason she did it is what caused many to shower her with support rather than outrage. On an Instagram live in 2017, rapper Cardi B was discussing the struggles that she went through to survive in the streets of New York City.
Niggas must have forgot, my nigga, the shit that I did for motherfuckers to survive. Like, I had to go strip. I had to go, oh yeah, you wanna f me? Yeah, let's go to this hotel. And I drug niggas up and I robbed them. That's what I used to do.
Just like Rick Ross, Cardi B admits to drugging people, but specifically she said drugging men and robbing them. For more context, Cardi B was a stripper before she was a rapper, and in this instance she was describing situations where men would try to solicit sex from her in strip clubs, to which she would say yes. Then she would drug them and rob them. But this Instagram live didn't go viral until 2 years after it was recorded. In March of 2019, it resurfaced via Twitter and sparked outrage online. Hashtag Surviving Cardi B began trending worldwide on Twitter, which was a reference to the Surviving R. Kelly docuseries that detailed all of the horrific sex crimes committed by the R&B singer. Cardi B quickly tweeted, I never claimed to be
I never had them chips, to be honest.
an angel. I always been a street bitch. Y'all be glorifying these street rappers that talk and do the grimy shit, but then they can't stand a street bitch. Then she continued to gloat about how people are trying to cancel her. I'm that bitch they love to hate. I'm that bitch they hate to love. When they try to cancel me on Twitter and Instagram. Critics felt like she was taunting them, which just added fuel to the fire. Redditors unleashed a firestorm of criticism, including this post on the subreddit Black People Twitter, calling the rapper Cardi B Cosby. The post read, "She better get the Bill Cosby treatment or gender equality doesn't exist. This so stupid she called this hard work." As many of you know, Bill Cosby was accused by 60 women of rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment. And less than a year before Cardi B's post went viral, he was not only rightfully vilified for his disgusting actions, but found guilty and jailed for his crimes. Cardi felt like her words were being twisted and lacked context, so she posted a lengthy response on social media explaining her point of view. There are rappers that glorify murder, violence, drugs, and robbing, crimes they feel they had to do to survive. I never glorified the things I brought up in that live. I never even put those things in my music because I'm not proud of it, and feel a responsibility not to glorify it. I made the choices that I did at the time because I had very limited options. I was blessed to have been able to rise from that, but so many women have not. The men that I spoke about in my live were men that I dated and was involved with, men that were conscious, willing, and aware. After the rappers
this Cardi, this is still not good, gang. It's still not good, man. And yes, everybody had a right to go ahead and kind of talk about with this situation because that was an open like, hey, like, oh yeah, I used to do this to niggas and stuff. I'm like, Cardi, that's a very serious it's a very serious topic. It's very triggering within itself. So yes, that level of drugging can happen to both men and women, but it's just it's to glorify and mind you, I know is from within the streets, and I still don't condone it. I just don't. I just still don't condone it. Like Cardi, like I like you, but you know that's what you just said there is like damn, like you know that's just not something is that people could just go ahead and just like just let that go. That's something it is that people still talk about to this day, just because it is you have limited options. Like yes, unfortunately, when it comes down to the people who are adult or in adult clubs or adult dancers and everything, yes, there are men it is that will go as far as paying for those levels of extras to what it is that they see, right? In the club, men pay endless, all types of men pay endless amount of money to do those type of acts. But I don't condone it. I just do not condone it. And it's just something it is just like you can't just look. I don't even know why she said it. I know you're not proud of it, Cardi, but that's something it is that you gotta think of, even when it is like, you know, now that you have children and everything, you're getting a little bit older, and now you looking back at this like, you know, that's so wild and up to what it is that I did. Those things carry with you, my dear. All of those things carry with you. Those demons, all that stuff. It is like I'm sure it is you probably just like, damn, looking back at that, like, damn, I'm just not proud of that. I just know you have to think that. So I just you said you drugged and robbed. I think it was. I don't know if it was boyfriends. I don't know if it was her boyfriends, but she used to date niggas in jail. She dated somebody that was locked up before, you know. Back on Love and Hip Hop, it's like the clarification just isn't gonna do it. I'm sorry, it's the clarification just isn't gonna do it, gang. Like you said that blatantly of like, oh, this is what it is I used to do. Like that was that's bold. That's very bold.
His response,
you said
major
that with a
media
lot of
outlets began
emphasis
to
on
clarify and highlight the quotes where she said that she was doing what she had to do to survive. There were no protests, no demanding of a deeper apology, no attacking her sponsors. For Cardi's fans and business partners, they weren't surprised to hear this information since she never hid who she was from the people.
I'm a rapper. That came from the streets, that came to the industry. I wasn't a Disney Channel star. I wasn't a nun. I wasn't a saint. I never was a saint. Okay? Let me tell you something. I'm a good-hearted person, but I have done fucked up shit.
For many women and fans of the rapper,
It's an
they understood
oxymoron
her
to say
struggle
that.
and were ready to move on. Even Rick Ross told people to leave Cardi alone.
Like I say, leave Cardi B alone. Because we don't need to persecute her for her past. We need to be leaders and lead by example. And regardless of what you did in the past, if you stole a car in the past, that don't mean you shouldn't be able to get money in the future. As long as you change your ways, and we all know Cardi B focused on the money now.
So can we all agree to this, that there is somewhat of a double standard? Because if this was a man doing this, there would be so many levels of petitions and everything. It's funny it is that he is saying this, because there are so much of like petitions and so many outcries, protests in regards about with Rick Ross. And it's like with Cardi B, now it's like, you know, she was just trying to make it out of the hood. We understand. That is a double standard. And some people will even go as far as saying that's not even fair. And I can kind of agree to that. I can agree to that. It's like that is it, because it's the same exact crime. It's the same exact crime. Now, he may have implied this within music, but Cardi actually lived through it, which is a crime. So, not even to be a dickhead about it, but because some people just like to throw that if it was a man shit around all the time. But in this case, this is absolutely true. Yeah, it is true. It is absolutely true. Because mind you, they did this to Rick Ross, and that was just implied within lyrics. What she did was actual, like, real life to what she did. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. I'm sorry. It's the same thing. It is the same exact level of crime and being implied and everything. And mind you, again, she said this on IG Live, but it's just the emphasis on how she said it. It's like, damn, like how you said it originally. You said that shit, and you ain't had no remorse to what you did. That's the issue. That is what the issue is.
She is a leader.
But it seemed like mostly men who were not fans of Cardi B to begin with were outraged at the lack of further outrage. Change my view. If Cardi B was a man, we would be boycotting her music and her career would be destroyed. To which people countered that most other male rappers have had extremely public controversies that didn't destroy their careers. Chris Brown's long history of assault has not hindered his career. Dr. Dre has a history of accusations that have not.
I told you with this nigga Dr. Dre, bro. That nigga has done some fucked up shit. And I owned a pair of beats before, but I had no acknowledgement at the time to what it is that he did until, if y'all watch the movie about NWA, and then even furthermore of like Michelle and a couple other women, his last wife that came forth that was saying some stuff about like, yo, this man really be putting paws on people. I'm also going to even go as far as saying hits, allegedly. I was like, ugh. But with Chris Brown, the incident with Rihanna, that's something that has been talked about. But Chris Brown has such a laundry list of level of just with anger, assault, all of that. I think the thing with Chris Brown is not even just with the Rihanna situation anymore. It is with other stuff at the point to where it is he was getting arrested and getting put into these things of just like every single thing that had to do with like assault. Not gonna lie, I didn't persecute Cardi for it because I know hoes like that. They just getting at how they live. Some of these bitches got kids to feed, and I don't judge it. If you fall for it in a way, it's your fault. You should know a grimy bitch when you see one. But I'm biased because I've seen it and I understand why some of these hoes do it. See, I'm regardless to either or side, I'm not condoning it. Because if I had a girlfriend it is that was doing stuff like this, I'm hollering at her. I'm gonna be like, why are you doing this, gang? And if it's something it is that I'm having a conversation with you on and you're still proceeding to do it, I'm cool off of you. Because that level of just like you doing that, nah. I don't even want that in my circle. You know what I mean? So regardless to what it is, like regardless if I have friends both on the male side or the female side, I'm calling it out. I'm saying it. I'm saying something. I'm having a conversation about it because it's like, nah, hell nah. Because I'll be damned if it like something like that happens to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that for me. I wouldn't want that for none of my friends, both on either side. And it's just, yeah, nah, I'm cool.
Not hindered his career.
I'm cool.
6ix9ine pleaded guilty to the use of a child in a sexual performance, which was well known even during his popularity. And as we detailed before, Rick Ross did lose out on some money, but ultimately it had no long-standing impact on his career. Another post went viral on the subreddit Unpopular Opinion. Cardi B drugging and robbing men makes her a predator. Now, it actually took months for Cardi B to clarify that she didn't have sex with these men, which was a huge reason why Redditors were so angry. She was alone in rooms with men who thought they were going to have sex with her, since she told them that she would. Then she drugs them into unconsciousness, which is enough evidence for some people to assume that she could have also raped them, but Cardi denies this.
Have actually sex when you touch somebody without their consent. I never nobody. Let me tell you something. I never ever wanted none of these niggas.
An online comment read, "No one cares about male victims when it comes to these types of situations. They say, well, that's what his horny ass gets for going to a hotel room with a woman he just met. Let it have been a male rapper who was drugging women though. Sex crimes against men are more common than people think, but there is an assumption that men don't care or that they can't be sexually assaulted because of."
This is what the issue is, and this is why I say regardless to either or side, it is that I would have a conversation and speak on it. Because believe it or not, and especially with Planned Parenthood, most people think it is that it's just only just like women it is that go to it, and that's not necessarily true. Men go there too. Men go there too to go ahead get tested, make sure it is that they are all right, to learn more information. It is to keep themselves safe, and they also have talked about in the levels of the essay or our wording it is that they have experience, believe it or not, by older women. The key lining that I've always, because most of the stuff it is confidentiality, which I can't go into. Most of the stuff it is based off by older women. More than 9 times out of the 10. Like, you know, there's been conversations it is that, like, even for some of my male friends it is that I have now, they're like have lost their virginities to an older woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, not knowing like what's going on or anything like that or what they're really doing, but the woman took control, which is the same lining of essay, if we're being completely honest here. So this is why I say it is, regardless to either or side, it's something that is I'm going to be speaking on, because people don't take them seriously when it comes down to men going through stuff like this, or men and this is why it is that, like, I have sympathy for men. I really do. I have a lot of sympathy for men when it comes down to stuff like this, because it happens more frequently it is that you guys ever think. Right. That's such a crazy statement to say it is, oh, that's what this horny ass get. It's like, damn, like that. Wow. Wow. But y'all wouldn't say the same thing to a woman. Like, you feel like, hopefully it is you guys are understanding the level of seriousness this is. Like, either or, for anybody to go through this, like, it's just not good on either or side.
Of gender-based stigmas. And at this time, the Me Too movement and the Believe Women movement was at an all-time high. So many people just automatically believed Cardi when she said that she wasn't sexually assaulting anyone, and rather just hustling them for their money. But the outrage calling for her to be cancelled continued throughout the years, until someone found another old video of her where she explains a hypothetical situation where she describes setting up a sexual assault.
I'm gonna take him out. We're gonna get drunk. I'm gonna get him all perked up and everything. We're gonna have a good time. Get him super twisted. Then bring a bitch around. We're gonna have a threesome. And when he wake up, he gonna be like, what the f? Yeah, because the bitch was a tranny. I'm be like, yup, we had a threesome with a tranny. Yup, a tranny suck your dick. You don't gotta f another nigga to get even, bitch. There's other ways to get even.
This is a case.
Cardi, that's a wild thing to say. This is a wild thing to say, and I'm gonna even go as furthermore as y'all people who has been what are those honey packets, and y'all putting them shits in, like, y'all mixing it with food and with drinks and shit like that, and y'all not telling people it is or what it is you mix it with. That is the same illegal crime it is to what Cardi just said. It's the same thing. You like, it doesn't matter to vote on either or side. If you going out with somebody, it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna get what it is that I want. This and this. I'm gonna get this person so fucked up and twisted. It's the same. It's call it to what it is. Call it to what it is. It's still DR. It is still DR. When you getting somebody to the point gets past their limits, Drewski, shout out to Drewski, made a skit about stuff like this, and it was a lot more triggering than and a lot of people was kind of upset about this, because that's both men and women have done this. Oh no, take a shot. Oh no, you gotta drink this, this and this. Like, wow, you dead ass came out here and you're not drinking, peer pressuring people to do stuff that's beyond past their limits. Something is like, they said no to, and then you peer pressure them to go ahead and be like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do, like, I'm gonna do it just so everybody can just shut up about it and everything like that. Like, oh, I want to be cool, I want to be accepted and stuff like that. That's the level of dangers that comes from within this. So even like, I have a best friend. She don't drink like that. I don't ever sit there and be like, oh yeah, like, you gotta drink. No, because even when it is I say it is I don't want to drink. Please believe it is that when I stand 10 toes on what it is I just said, please do not try to force me to drink on any occasions or make me do something it is that I don't want to do. we need an editor to censor the T word. But it's just, it's stuff like that. I'm like, yo, like this is a very serious thing. Jesus.
Of, I didn't do it, but if I did do it, this is how I would do it. The descriptiveness of the situation is hard to interpret as just a joke. This was enough evidence for detractors to confirm that she was a predator. So when they saw this tweet in 2023, they felt like she had no right to speak on the matter. This world is full of predators. They prey on the innocent, the ones who are most unknowing, our children. Predators could be our neighbors, our school teachers, even people with money, power, and our churches. Constantly talk with your kids about boundaries and what they shouldn't allow people to do to them. And
you know what? You know why it is that she's speaking on this is because it is that she's a mother now, and now she understands. So just like, oh, yeah, I would never want my child to go through something like that. Even though it is, I agree with everybody of just like, yo, she ain't had no right to even speak on this, but now you understand to why, because this is a very serious thing. You're like, you know. God forbid it is that you find out it is your child. Then, you know, something happened to them or something like that. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
With the entire internet calling her a hypocrite, she dug a deeper hole as she spoke about the situation yet again.
And now people want to come at me like, oh, you're the wrong messenger. You're the wrong messenger. Then you robbing drug men. And it's like, listen. Y'all not going to keep doing this, because when it comes to weird ass predators and rapists and pedophiles and shit, I'm really like, I don't play that shit. I really don't play that shit. And then y'all be like, you drug and rob them. Did I touch their body? Did I touch their penis? Did I touch their ass? Did I touch them? Did I put my lips on them? No. No type of touching. Don't confuse. And even if y'all claim, oh, you robbed them, what's robbing and raping is two different type of shit. So don't.
It's still a crime. It's still a crime, gang. It's still a crime. It's still a crime. It's still a crime. It may be two different sentences, yes, but it's still a crime. If you was ever to be in a court of law under that type of those type of circumstances, you would still be found guilty. You would still be found guilty for it, gang. So, Cardi, that's not good. That's not good to speak on that.
Call me no. Don't call me no predator. Don't play with my name like that, because I don't play that.
Cardi stays firm in her stance that she was never sexual with these men, but she does wholeheartedly admit that these men deserve to be robbed. However, there is a third opinion that
She
does wholeheartedly admit that these men deserve to be robbed.
Jesus.
However, there is a third opinion that the vast majority of people hold for Cardi B. Cardi B came in the game during the Vine era promoting herself as a gang-affiliated stripper. Her off-the-wall persona made her who she is. You can't ask what can she say or do that would get her cancelled, because she's been talking and acting crazy from the jump. LOL at bringing up her drugging and robbing men. Yeah, well, she told us from the jump she was a blood. What do you think bloods do? Sell Girl Scout cookies? No, they commit crimes.
Yeah,
Most people love to point out the double standard.
They do, and I forgot. Yeah, she was gang affiliated, but that's besides the point. It's still a level of just like, dang, sis, like you was really out here like doing stuff like that, and it's like you kind of was boasting. I won't say boasting, but you was kind of saying that shit without no regard. So that's what the issue is, gang. Like you said that shit with your chest wholeheartedly, like, oh yeah, this is what it is I used to do. Listen, like, if there's even if there was stuff it is that you used to do in the past, that if we would have not known that information until it is you said that, until it is you have mentioned about with that, and those are things it is you have to morally deal with those consequences, and you know what I mean. Like I'm a big believer when it comes down to God, so that you have to deal with whatever consequences it is that come your way from that. You understand? Because that's nuts. That's
standards and
so
hypocrisy.
They
simplify the situation as man do bad thing, get big trouble, and girl do same bad thing, no consequences. But the truth is, there is tons of nuance to consider when assessing any type of crime, social issue, drama, or whatever you want to call this. No two situations are ever the same. The only similarities here are Rick Ross and Cardi B are both rappers who admitted to drugging someone. The context, the intent, the time frame, the clarity of the words, the behavior before and after the admission are all entirely different, but extremely necessary to assess before you make a decision on what you think about these rappers. Now, I'm not saying they should be absolved of criticism, but if you're expecting rappers to be beacons of moral good, you're gonna be angry forever.
That's very true.
So before we get
That is very true. All right, let me go ahead. One thing you don't have to deal with is the crazy prices for the stack of meat flaps at Ari's favorite #1 fast food spot and sponsor of tonight's streams, Arby's. We've got the meats. High vintage. High vintage. The fact that you slipped that, oh, that's Ari's favorite. You know what you was doing. You knew what you was doing with that. Hey, listen. Moral of the story when it comes down to this, y'all. Please be safe out here in these damn streets, because it's that was quite a video to react to, and then also very triggering, which is why it is, like I say this for both all my listeners that is watching out there, the people in the chat, you know, you guys at home, just please be safe. Please be safe. No means no. You know what I'm saying? Like, be careful of your surroundings. Be careful if it is aligning when it comes down to drinks, all that stuff. Just be safe out there, because it is very scary out here in these streets. But Patrick, shout outs to you. Shout outs to y'all in the chat. And shout outs to you at home. I will catch y'all in the next video.